in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Well, I am all about content creation because I'm all about strategic communication, and I'm all about people contacting me instead of me interrupting them with marketing messages. If that appeals to you and that resonates with you, then today's guest is going to be very interesting. Her name is Trish Leto. She is a U.S. Navy veteran and mother of two with over 18 years mortgage experience. Her audience has crowned her the queen of 5-minute lives. And this is such a simple, effective technique. You're going to be blown away. It's a strategy she's been doing where just 5 minutes, taking just 5 minutes of live video and then repurposing it for increased brand recognition and revenue. She's going to tell us about how she does that. And I can't wait to find out more. Trish, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
So thank you so much. What an incredible introduction. And man, it's a good thing you're doing the radio thing because you sure do have a voice for it. That was awesome.
Well, thank you very much. I practice every day. And if I keep practicing, then eventually I will get adjusted to this career, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Well, I love the idea, and this is what really hooked me to have you on the show and to talk about 5-minute lives, because I think a lot of people that get so intimidated with the idea of video, number one, and live video on top of that they just don't do it. And this sounds so simple. And I want to find out all about it. But before we do, first tell our listeners, how did you get started in content marketing, content strategies like this? What's your background?
So I am the daughter of a small business owner. My father was a salesman for as long as I can remember. And he owned restaurants and a catering company. And so my first job, I was 12 years old, working for my dad in his kitchen. And I watched my father do sales. Like I watched him, and he never just sold. He would tell people a joke. He knew everybody's name by their first name, every single customer that walked into his restaurant. He'd tell them a joke, shake their hand, and then ask them what he could do for them, right? And so, cut to being a mother of two. I had 2 children in 2 years in my late 30s. And I was a part of a multi-level marketing business, and my business had hit an all-time low, and I was on my worst month ever. And I went from potentially making $1,200 that month and like a side hustle income to making a little over $300. And a lot of it was because I was pushing sales. I had kind of lost my way from the way that my father taught me how to do all of it, right? Make the connections first, make the relationship happen first. And so I had my worst month ever, and I got very frustrated with that. And then I went online and I started to learn from the people who were clearly doing it right. And I was watching webinar after webinar with people like, Gary Vee and Grant Cardone and Amy Porterfield and Lewis Howes and some of these heavy hitters. And I noticed something very consistent with the way that they were marketing. Every single webinar that I would watch or every video that I would watch, they were storytelling. The majority of their content, the beginning of their content was their story. And so I started just implementing that into my own business. And so I reached out to people who were industry experts, and I would interview them on Facebook Live. And this is when Facebook first had that live button back in early 2016.
Yeah.
And it turned into a thing. It turned into a Facebook Live show called The Expert Connection with Trish Leto. And people really loved it. They loved the idea that I would bring them on and I was kind of becoming a journalist. And that's what I think where more people get so stumped is, Ralph, that was content. Mm-hmm. That was over 100 industry experts in just under 1 year that I interviewed, and that was all content. So I got addicted to it. I absolutely love teaching people how to create content so simply.
Wow, that's a really powerful story you just told about the power of storytelling. And I say this all the time because I'm in a master's program studying strategic communication. And one of the main research focuses that I'm engaged in right now is storytelling, the efficacy of storytelling in terms of persuasion narratives. In other words, it's story selling instead of traditional sales. It's wrapping your message around a story that makes. Why does that work? Because you're making a personal connection with people. It's not about you trying to sell them something. Because I talk about the great psychological barrier that we all have to overcome whenever we're trying to talk to people about our business or products or services, and there's a barrier that goes up. But people love stories. Stories are engaging, and content marketing is a way for us to overcome that psychological barrier. So you have perfected a particular type of content marketing, and you've branded it as 5-minute lives, which is really neat. Tell us a little bit more about how that strategy works, and how did you stumble upon that?
I love this question because it's going to be the most ridiculous. You're going to be like, "Are you kidding me?" when I tell you. So it was one of those things where, so again, I was doing the interviews with other people, and I was loving doing the interviews with other people. But at the same time, I was like, okay, so yes, I'm the curator, I'm being a journalist, and this is great, and I love it. But now I've got my own content. Like I'd listen to a podcast and go, oh man, I want to go live and just talk about this one little nugget that I just got from this podcast episode. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I would say to myself, the fact of the matter is, I really don't have more than 5 minutes of time to do a live video. And quite frankly, people aren't watching more than 5 minutes worth of video, especially if you're on by yourself. If it's an interview, then it's understood there's going to be a Q&A, right? There's going to be the engagement. There's going to be a Q&A with the actual audience who are live. But if I go live by myself, statistically speaking, people aren't really going to engage with you for really more than 3 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So I took like an average. I did like just really simple statistical math, and I was like, okay, on average we can do that. I can do this in 5 minutes. So I sat down and I would watch people go live by themselves. They'd be live for like a half an hour, 45 minutes. There would be no structure. There would be barely any audience engagement. There would be no real topic. They'd forget to tell us who they were, and there would be no call to action. And I'm going, what are you doing? Like, what a waste of time. What a colossal waste of time. It was almost like a sweet chaos that I would watch before my eyes every Facebook Live that I would pop into. And I'm going, there's got to be a better way. So,
yeah, and they will be the ones that will say, well, I tried that and it didn't work. Well, it's because you're not doing it right.
Well, exactly. Right? Or you're not doing it right, or you're not being consistent, because trust me when I tell you, this is not something where it's just going to happen overnight. It takes time to brand yourself, folks. Like at the end of the day, that's the truth. Branding takes time, but when you do it consistently, right? It's exactly. And when you do it consistently, people get used to that, and they're like, oh, that's what this person's all about. Like, this is great. Yeah. So I sat down and I had my sticky note. I keep a lovely little sticky pad, a Post-it pad on my desk at all times, right? I'm always jotting ideas down. And I said, okay, I can do this in 5 minutes. How am I going to do it? I'm like, okay, I can cover my who, what, why, and how in the first 30 seconds. Who am I? What am I going live about? Why should people care? And how can they get more of me? Right? So strong call to action, right? And then I can say, okay, as you're popping in, make sure you drop in the hearts, make sure you tell me, now I say hashtag unicorn, and I'll give you a whole background to that in a minute, but I call myself the unicorn breeder. That's my 2-sentence marketing piece that one of my business mentors told me to say. But I tell people, hashtag live or hashtag replay, whatever, to make sure that we're keeping my videos relevant in the newsfeed. And then I dive into it and I cover my topic in 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Yeah. And I don't set a timer, but I just go, okay, I know what I'm going to talk about, and I'll jot down 2 to 3 bullet points. I'll make sure that I concentrate on that. I convey the message. Then I spend 1 minute of Q&A. I scroll through, I identify people. I say, hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for popping in. Don't forget to tell me value. If you found value in this, share this out, tag a friend. And then the last 30 seconds is, again, recapping my call to action all over again. So the first 30, again, at the bottom 30. And that's, hey, guys, thank you so much for popping in. My name is Trish Leto. Today, I talked about the 5-minute live blueprint. I talk about this because I want to help you structure your content so you can get low budget, high quality leads for your business for free using live video. You can get more of this information at my website. And then I'll tell them my website. And that's it. And I'm done.
Well, see, that's a success framework. And that you've got a plan, you're not just talking 45 minutes off the top of your head about, whatever. You actually have a purpose, and you're leading people down a path, and there's a result. There's an outcome that you're seeking, not just for yourself, but for your audience. And so I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Oh my God. Can I quote you on that?
Well, it's not a very original quote. I mean, you can if you want to, but I just think it's simple. It lets people get into this idea of doing live video, and not a 45-minute webinar. Not this hour and a half marathon where, it's just about whatever, but it's very focused. It's in, it's out. And like you say, it's not a magic bullet. It's something that you are consistently putting out there over a period of time. And eventually, because of that exposure, people begin to see you and associate you with your 5-minute lives, videos that you're putting out, and they get it. And then they begin to reach out and engage you. I just think it's perfect. Who could ask for anything better?
I mean, really and truly, my clients they love this. I've got private clients that I work with. I've got students. I've got a group coaching program where I teach this, and I show people how to turn it into an ecosystem that makes them money. And it works. So 95% of my business comes from the live videos that I do. The other 5% comes from word of mouth, right? Which is, that's the look I'm going for.
So listen, Trish, let me ask you a question. You mean that you're not crushing it with Facebook ads and Google AdWords and all this advertising everyone says you have to do? So
I actually have gotten massive exposure by following one of my top mentors in this entire industry, and that's Gary Vaynerchuk. I absolutely love him. I hope it's okay for me to say that out loud.
Yeah, sure. You can say it out loud. I mean, he is one of the personalities where people have different opinions of him, but the point is, at least they have an opinion of him. He's been seen and heard. So the worst thing would be not to be known. But yeah.
Yeah. So he has been, and one of the things that he's really instilled in me, and I followed it hard. And it's not just him, it's other mentors too, for sure. But one of the bigger pieces that he talks about is be very patient. You have to be so patient with your branding. So I literally in 2018, I spent maybe $500 total in ads. $500 total in ads. This year, I'm starting to spend some more money in ads because one of the things that he talks about is how underpriced Facebook and Instagram ads are. And they really are, right? So once I built up my brand, I built up my authority and my credibility. Now when I push those ads out and people go and check me out, they're like, oh, okay, she does know what she's talking about. I've got testimonials. Right.
Yes. This triggers a thought. Yeah. So when we've created these 5-minute lives videos and they're helpful, they're audience oriented, they've got a purpose. What about the concept of a 5-minute ad? I mean, can you take that? Can you take that and can you take it and repurpose it? And
oh man, listen, live video can be repurposed. There's just limitless opportunities. So when I do most of the live videos that I do on my personal page, but I've definitely started them on my business page too, my Facebook business page. So now I'm getting video views attached to my Facebook pixel, which is our code that tells us where all the traffic is coming and going from, and all the analytics of the people who are coming, our audience, essentially, for people who don't know what that is. And so I use that, and I'll cut that out into bits and pieces. I'll post a 60-second clip onto Instagram. I'll repurpose that entire 5-minute live onto LinkedIn, and I'll make sure that the link to that business page video is on LinkedIn. I'll send it to my email list. I'll put it into courses. I'll transcribe it, put it into an ebook. I'll transcribe it, put it onto a PDF. I mean, this is a limitless
really
opportunity.
Yeah,
it really is.
You can do anything.
Podcasting, right? Podcasting, all of it. Absolutely. Yeah. Strip the audio and make it a podcast. There's so many things. Now people are doing all these flash briefings, and I'm going, oh my God, that's just another opportunity to get your content out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very neat. So the other question it triggers in my mind, and because I've had a lot of people say, well, my business is different. Everyone thinks theirs is different. Everyone thinks that their product or service or solution is much too sophisticated and much too whatever to be able to simplify it into a 5-minute presentation. And what I tell them is, if you can't express it in a couple of sentences, then you haven't simplified it enough. You haven't mastered your message. So that leads me to the next question. When you're doing these 5-minute videos, very tightly focused, do you get the sense or the feeling that you're having to rush through them, or is it because you frameworked it out? It's very natural and very focused, but also very relaxed and not rushed. So
the 5-minute structure started because I wanted to help people have exactly that, a structure. Okay. So there's no rule that says if you don't do 5 minutes, then it's not going to matter. But there's a 2-part answer to your question. Part 1 is you could do into like steps, right? And I feel like often we tend to assume that our audience understands what we know so much about. And typically
the curse of knowledge is what they call that. The curse of knowledge is I have forgotten all the things that I used to not know, and now I do know, and I forgot what it's like not to know them. And so I take things for granted that other people don't know. And that's one of the problems with experts of any industry.
It's true. So my analogy that I like to use for the first part of your answer is, it's the simplest concept of screwing in a light bulb, like how to screw in a light bulb, right? But if you have never, like for me, I know how to screw in a light bulb. It's a super simple thing. I just unscrew it, blah, 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 screw it back in. But what if you're in a house that's got, it's super aged house, and the lighting and electrical outlets are really screwy? Like you could electrocute yourself. There's all sorts of things. So step 1 isn't necessarily to just get a ladder and climb up there and unscrew the light bulb. Step 1 could be, you need to go to your circuit breaker and hit the circuit breaker for that room to make sure that you don't electrocute yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you could really take how to screw in a light bulb and go from a 1-step process to a 5-step process. And day 1, Monday, is your first 5-minute live. And then by Friday, now they know the whole entire process. And then you give a really strong call to action and say, hey, guess what? I've got this info product, or I provide this kind of coaching, or I've got this, or I've got that walks you through this entire process and shows you the different colors of light bulbs, the different types of sockets to look at. I mean, that's just it. Is people need to understand that the simplest thing to you and I could be a complicated, game-changing answer to somebody else.
That's right. We just take for granted all of the knowledge and all the experiences and the distinctions that we have made. And we just assume that everyone else knows it, or we undervalue our own selves and we think, well, that's not a big deal. Everybody knows that. No, they don't know that. When you said the light bulb, used the light bulb analogy, it reminded me of a story of a missionary in somewhere in Africa, I believe, and they would come to the missionary's hut, and one of the villagers looked and saw the light bulb in the light that they were meeting in, and asked the missionary, "Can I take that light bulb? Can I have your light bulb so I can bring light to my home?" And the missionary said, "Sure." So they unscrewed the light bulb, and the guy brought it back the next day. He says, "It's not working." And they went and looked, and what he had done is he tied the light bulb to a piece of twine and was hanging it from his thatch hut. He didn't have electricity. So he didn't even have the right context. So you're saying, that we take things for granted, that everyone knows about electricity, that everyone has a hookup, that they already know all about light bulbs. But to use the analogy the way you have described it, this is a process for taking people all the way from not knowing nothing to actually beginning to help them become expert in a particular area, in a particular problem, in a particular result that they want. And I guess the bottom line is the lesson I take away is don't undervalue your experiences, your knowledge, even your point of view has value to somebody. So document that thing and get it out there so that it can make a difference in people's lives.
Absolutely. Put it into a 5-step process. That 5-step process could quite literally change somebody's life or business. And I mean, I've done this. I mean, I've worked with startups. I've worked with nonprofits. I've worked with 6, 7, 8-figure companies. I understand that there are plenty of people out there who they're willing to do it. They're willing to do the live video. Heck, they might even already be doing live video.
Yeah.
But if they can take this simple process and apply this into their business, it will exponentially help them increase revenue for less time in their day. It is a truly actionable, simple process. Once you do it a few times, it's unbelievable. I had a financial advisor. This guy sells like insurance. Like, he's a financial advisor and planner, and he sells insurance. And he got into my group coaching program, and he literally, his very first 5-minute live, he messaged me. He said, "Trish, I already made back 5 times my investment." And with the very first 5-minute live, he's like, he goes, "I thought for sure that people would be bored with this." And I'm like, people, are you kidding me? We're in early 2019. People they just shut down the government. People are worried about their finances. They want to invest. They're looking for people like you. This is your time to shine.
Yeah, exactly right. Because it's not about you and about your business. It's about the problem that you address. The result that you create. That's what people care about, and that's what makes it so powerful and so effective to be able to use this medium and maximize the result. It's just really awesome. Tell us what you're working on right now that's got you really excited.
So it's funny that you mentioned that. I started a virtual group coaching program, and it's called 5-Minute Lives Group Coaching Program. By the way, I do want to mention that both 5-Minute Lives and Press Live with Purpose are trademark pending. So I'm really excited about that.
Yes, that tells me once again that you have mastered your message, because you recognize a good thing when you hear it and when you write it, and then you took steps to protect that as your intellectual property. That is so critical and so key when you have a great idea and you do discover sliced bread, that you get the trademark for that thing.
Yeah,
so,
I'm really, thank you very much. I'm really excited about it. So what I'm working on right now is on March 8th, I'm in Tampa, Florida. On March 8th, I'm actually hosting my very first 5-Minute Live VIP workshop. So that's going to be an all-day event, 8 hours. And I am almost 100% confirmed with 2 other industry expert speakers to come to the event. And I'm looking to fill between 25 and 50 seats total. So I haven't nailed down my venue yet. But
so this is an actual venue. It's not an online virtual thing.
No,
this is face to face.
This is in person. Yeah, this is in person because I love to teach, and I love to teach in person. I love to have that physical, in-person, real connection, because people absorb the information much better that way when I can be more hands-on.
Yeah.
And small business owners are, I've got a special place in my heart for brick and mortars. I've got 18 plus years mortgage background, real estate agents. I mean, I know they're struggling heavy right now. And I want to convey this message that the answer truly is in just taking that action with branding yourself. So I'm going to show them how to put together an entire ecosystem using live video. We're going to have an audio video guy there. We're going to give them some templates, tools, resources. We're going to talk about things, make sure that they have a true understanding. So when they walk out that door, they are fully equipped and they feel confident with the content that they're going to be providing for their ideal client.
That is really exciting. And I got to tell you, there's a big opportunity out there for people to get this framework and begin to create valuable content. It's not just about how fast you can push stuff out there and then you have crap content. We want valuable content. And what you're teaching people is a method for doing this simply, doing it effectively. It's 5 minutes. I mean, it's not going to take you hours and hours and hours to create all of this content. It doesn't have to be that difficult. So our listeners can reach out to you and find out more. And actually, you have available to them a free download. It's a blueprint. Tell us about that.
So it's a 5-minute live blueprint, and it's fun because I have a lot of my clients and my prospects who are like, hey, I'm saving up, I'm going to hire you. I'm just, and it excites me for them because they see the value in it, and they're trying to get the live videos going. But this downloadable blueprint really just does break down the 30-second intro, the 2 to 3 minutes, the 1 minute, the final 30-second, call to action. And if nothing else, it's something that you can download, you can print out, you can tape it on your wall or thumbtack it on your wall, whatever you want to do. And it's your constant reminder that it only takes 5 minutes to effectively connect and communicate with your ideal prospects, bring in high quality, low cost leads to your business.
I love it. I think that's awesome. Your website is trishleto.com. That's TRISH, Trish Leto, LETO.com. So, wow, I'm going to go check that out. And I encourage everyone to go do that.
The other thing I wanted to mention, I'm so sorry, bear with me one more second. With that actually comes another piece that is 10 ways to repurpose your 5-minute live videos. So you get the blueprint, and then as an added little bonus, you get the 10 ways to repurpose. So it's all in there.
Yeah. So create it once, you repurpose it 10 different ways, and it's on there forever. And it's if you do it the right way, it's bringing recurring residual value back to you, and it's also putting value out to the world that's out there. It's the perfect strategy. I love it. I'm going to go check it out. I hope you will too, everyone. TrishLeto.com is the website to go to. Trish, it's been a real pleasure. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom, big ideas, one big thing that you'd like to share with our listeners before we close?
Just remember that, when you're feeling kind of self-conscious or worried or lacking confidence when you're using live video, that there are 12-year-old girls on YouTube who are making thousands of dollars a week curling their hair with a flat iron. I want that to make you mad enough to go press live with purpose.
Well, I'm actually speechless, but you're exactly right. That does make me mad. I need to go figure out what they're doing. No, we've got the blueprint. You're showing us how to do that and how to take whatever we're passionate about and make that happen. So I think it's great. Trish Leto is a U.S. Navy veteran. She's a mother of two, and she is the queen of 5-minute lives, trademark, a simple yet effective strategy for doing just 5 minutes of live video and repurposing it for increased brand recognition and revenue. Find out more and download the free 5-minute lives blueprint at trishleto.com. Trish, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.